Hello and welcome back. It's our 55th day of art making together. It is Tuesday, July 14th. July is flying by for me. I just can't believe it. I don't even have a minute to breathe, it seems, or enjoy the weather. And I know it's been a little bit rainy, but there have been some really beautiful days, and it's going too fast for me. Summer's almost halfway over, and it's hard to believe. Okay, today, new sculpture project. I want you to look around your room, around your apartment, around where you're at, and I want you to find junk, just found objects. Maybe you have a junk drawer. Maybe you have a pile of junk that needs to be gone through. Maybe you have some odds and ends, whatever it is. Maybe you have some sculptures on your shelf. So what I want you to do is just gather up some things. So what I've gathered is, and this is just going to be a temporary sculpture. I'm just going to build it and I'm going to take it apart. I talked about that last week, about how kids love to build with blocks, but then they pick up their blocks and they put them away. They don't fasten them together. They don't make them permanent. So today we are just working with found objects, and we're going to see just how creative we can be and what will happen with our objects. So I've found some big wooden beads, which were really popular in the 1970s for macrame and making like different kind of arts. And so someone has donated those to the studio, and they're very cool. So I've got some wood beads. I've got a bunch of corks, a bunch of different kinds of corks. So I'm going to use those. And for some reason, I don't know why, I have a million floral pins. I don't know why I bought these somewhere in my life long ago, but now I've donated them to Tabor Art Studio because Tabor Art Studio has more of a use for them than I will ever. So we've got that. I'm bringing back the box from yesterday, and that's the purpose of that box, is just something to build on. So gather up your things, think about what they would be. Just take a good look around your room. What could you, I'm looking around the room right now, what could I use to add to my art? Now, if I were at home, I'd have a ton of junk that I could just throw into this sculpture, but I'm not at home. Oh, I've got something. I'll be right back. So you gather your things. I'll be 30 seconds. Look around your room, grab those things. We're just going to build with them, make some kind of arrangement, some 3D piece, and then we'll take it apart at the end of the day. Okay, I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. Okay, so I've got a 2x4. It's like 2x4 by 6 or 7. I'm going to incorporate that. I'm going to get rid of the box. I don't want that box. I like the idea of creating some kind of sculpture that's more natural. Then I've got this cool sculpture, at least I think it's cool. Back in October, I found a bunch of old photographs. I photocopied them, and in our art group, we made old-fashioned witches. And so I'll show you it a little bit closer. These two little girls here who look like witch sisters, I made them into witches. And I love to work with old photographs because if you go to an antique store, you can find bins and bins and bins of old photographs. And I wonder someday, like, what are going to happen to my bins of photographs? Are they going to end up in an antique store? Or will they be lost and never seen again? I've taken thousands of photographs before the invention of a smartphone. So you can only imagine I have about 100,000 photos now stored on my computer and on my phone, and it is maddening how many photos you can get. So I love photos. I just don't always have something to do with them, and I wonder what will someday happen to all of the photos we've printed and all of the photos we store on our computer. They'll be certainly lost, but that's okay. It's more about process. And so that's what today's art is about. It's about process-oriented art making. I want you to start building if you have some supplies. I'm going to bend my wires here See if I can use it to make build my structure together. I've got some green beads as well. You may not like working in 3D, doing sculptural pieces. I love it, but one thing that I often find is I have ill planned, and so this idea of just grabbing things and figuring out how to put them together is not working. My sculpture just wants to fall apart. So, new idea. I don't know what the new idea is going to be, but try something different. Maybe not those beads at all, but I do like I like how that looks. I don't know if you can see it, but it's basically just the wire sticking out of there. So can I create some kind of very minimalist sculpture using my wires here and my cork? And I don't really want to use this rubbery cork, so I'm going to get rid of that one. I'm going to stick with the wood. And I'm going to get rid of the witches because I decided I don't want to have anything that looks so created already. Okay, so it's looking really, really simplistic, and that's what I'm going for today. I don't get a chance often to work in sculpture, and it's my favorite art form. And junk is my favorite thing to work with. I love to work with found items, found objects, junk. In fact, I've even taught classes and workshops on the art of making things out of junk because we have so much of it. And, or at least I have a lot of it. I know lots of people who have a lot of junk. And it can be really cool to repurpose found junk or junk we have laying around or something we intended to do something with or use one day, make it into something new, give it a new life. Okay, now my sculpture is becoming a bit wobbly. That's okay. We're going to work on, in a few videos from now, we're going to be working on balance and counterbalance. So that's what I'm working on right there. So it's not very exciting, but I love that it's minimalistic because I'm not a very minimalistic person, and I would love to be. So when I look at this, I think, wow, there we go. Getting more towards that, just the bare bones of something, the simplistic lines, letting something speak for itself rather than filling it in with all kinds of color and sound and noise and too much stuff. So I don't know what it is, but there is the beginning of this sculpture. Now for today, this is going to be where the sculpture ends. I'm not going to work after the video, and it's falling apart already. So if I were making this to keep, I would definitely want to think about executing it better, about what is going to make this successful. That's where young kids struggle sometimes in working in sculpture, making it successful. They have these grandiose ideas, but how do you make it successful and make it work? I remember one time I was working with one of my kids who now is in his 20s, and he wanted to build a submarine. And I know this kid, as a man today, could build a submarine and do it very well. He is a welder and he works in metal arts. But back then, he had some different ideas about how to go about building a submarine. So I said, how are you going to do it? Well, it's going to be big enough to fit me, meaning him, and the submarine would be fully submergible underwater. So it would be able to submerge underwater. And it was going to be made completely out of cardboard. And I hated to think about what disasters might lurk in his future in a cardboard-made submarine. But I'm kind of to blame for that because we would participate in this great cardboard boat regatta where we'd build a life-size cardboard boat and sail it. And so giving kids hope that anything was possible and boats could be made out of cardboard, and even submarines, I guess. Okay, so happy art making. Build that structure. Go back to like being like a kid. Get out some blocks. Play with them. See what happens. Get out those oddities like floral pins that you might have hanging around or whatever it might be. And see what can happen when you just let yourself play. That's the most important part. Being playful and play around. Okay? I will see you back here tomorrow. Have a wonderful day. Happy art making.